What is up, Gorilla Nation, and welcome back to another Division 2 build video. But if you would be so kind, please show some love to that like button. Also, smash that sub button if you happen to be new to the channel. And don't forget to reach up there, trigger that bell, and turn on post notifications. So that way you never miss a live stream or a video that is uploaded. Before we hop into the build, don't forget to check out the links in the description below. As you've seen in the very beginning before the intro, we have some awesome fire limited edition masks. You know, you gotta be protective out there. Wear those masks. Practice social distancing. But these masks are some fire. They are 3 layers, cloth, washable, and the design is on point. So check out the links in the description below for those. I'm going to send you over to the gameplay of the build, and then we're going to hop into the build itself. We'll see you guys and gals back here in just a moment. Alright, that was just a little bit of clippage. I mean, everybody knows the build. I have multiple variations of these builds using this gear set. So you can go check out, further extensive gameplay on those other videos. Especially, there's actually a PvP version. I'll leave the link in the description of an extensive gameplay also on the PvP side of things other than PvE. So don't forget to check out those links. So now on to the build. No, not the roster. Alright, we're utilizing 4 pieces of Eclipse Protocol. The Imperial Dynasty mask with Dragon's Glare. And then, of course, 1 piece of Golan. Now, 1 piece of Golan gives you 10% status effects, but that's only if you're using skills that actually have status effects to them, such as like the canister fire on the chem launcher, the hive that gives you bleed, the firefly for blindness, anything of that nature. But as far as when it comes to explosives, seekers, bombardier drones, the mortar turret, then instead of the Golan, then what you want to do is have you 1 piece of China Light. Now, 1 piece of China Light, if I can actually find a piece somewhere in here, will give you the 15% explosive damage. So you want to incorporate a 1 piece of China Light if you go with skills that go boom boom. But anyways, we're going to hop into this one. Starting out first, the 4 pieces of the Eclipse Protocol gives you 15% status effects, 15% skill haste, 30% hazard protection, and then your status effects now spread on kill to all enemies within 15 meters and refreshes 50% of the duration. Now, +1 skill tier, skill damage, and skill haste. Now, the second piece, +1 skill tier on the backpack, skill damage, skill haste, with System Aggravator. Amplifies all damage you deal to status affected targets by 15%. The third piece, which is the gloves, +1 skill tier with skill damage. And then finally the fourth and final piece is the knee pads, +1 skill tier and skill damage on it as well. Now on to the Golan chest piece, max armor, max explosive resistance, max skill damage, and 10.1% skill haste in the mod slot. And we're utilizing explosive delivery. Now if you're good with your tosses, and since I am using the hive, you can also run this with Seeker and that China Light piece I just forego mentioned. But whenever you throw a skill, 1.5 seconds after landing, it creates an explosion Damaging enemies within 5 meters. Damage scales with skill tier, dealing 25 to 100%. So that initial explosion is going to deal 1.4 million in damage. So it gives you that, especially if they huddled up. As you see in the gameplay, what I like to do is hit them with the firefly so that way they don't move around too much and they stay in that tight little group and crowd, and then toss my hive right into the middle of them, and then get that 1.4 mil initial explosion and then bleed them little buggers dry. Now on to the holster. +1 skill tier, 9.8% status effects, and 9.1% hazard protection. Dragon's Glare. While in combat, applies burn to the enemy closest to you within 20 meters. Cooldown is 35 seconds. So with this premise, but when I'm entering combat, usually if I sneak up on them, if I'm able to anyways, and blind them, and then that puts me into combat, then they get caught on fire, they get set ablaze, and then I toss that hive in there, and that'll cause that explosion, then they'll bleed, and then I'll hit them with the pestilence. So that's 4 status effects at one time. I'm counting the pestilence as a status effect because it's plague, then we have the fire from the holster, we get the blindness from the firefly, and then we get the bleed from the hive. So 4 status effects at once. Now if I want a little extra punch, I do have Future Perfect on my holster. Weapon kills grant +1 skill tier for 15 seconds, and you're probably thinking, but Relentless, that's a pistol. Well, it's easy, you know, once you see them ticking down from the bleed or the burn or whatever, because the blind firefly causes damage too, to ding them with in the noggin or in the chest and finish them off with a pistol and proc this. And that, you know, on my sidearm takes place of me having to actually utilize it on a primary or secondary weapon. But if you prefer that in your primary or secondary, then by all means. I like the Sitar here over the Pyromaniac because the Pyromaniac I have is not all that great, but perfectly ignited, deal 25% weapon damage to burning enemies. After 3 kills, applies burning to the next enemy. I chose the Sitar over that because even though I'm losing 5% from the ignited, from 25 to 20, I'm gaining 8% damage to targets out of cover. So in the long run, I'm dealing more damage with the Sitar than I am with my current Pyromaniac. But if you want to, as far as the bleed, I do have the Carnage on standby with Perfect Sadist, deal 25% weapon damage to bleeding enemies. And then I have the Harmony, which has Perfect in Sync. Hitting an enemy grants 20% skill damage for 5 seconds. Using a skill or damaging an enemy with a skill grants 20% weapon damage for 5 seconds. Damage increases are doubled while both buffs are active or at the same time. Now, the only other talent that I would recommend is utilizing Spike. And I'm going to go in here to my stash since I thought I had it on me. Apologies for that. And let's see here. Yada, yada, yada. Junk, junk, junk. Trash, trash. What I always get from everything. Mechanical Animal variety. Once I finally get to them, somewhere in here. Here we go. You can utilize Spike. It's on this one I have on the Resolute. Or you can use any weapon with Spike on it. Headshots grant 20% skill damage for 15 seconds. So basically, ding them in the noggin, and then you get that 20% skill damage for 15 seconds. I'm going to wrap it up for this video, but be sure to definitely try the build out. Go out and experiment yourselves. It is a lot of fun, and I'm enjoying doing all these variations of the builds. So definitely mix and match, and there's several of them on the channel, and there's more yet to come. So just pick out and utilize whichever one meets your playstyle, and just stay tuned for more builds coming. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you punching later.